Listen, most retirees believe the market is their biggest risk. It is not. It is one of six, but there are actually six major risks in retirement. The biggest risk is actually longevity risk, and that is the possibility of outliving your money. Spending too much too soon, going on too many cruises, having too many Mai Tais. Look, we want you to enjoy your retirement, but you have to strategize your longevity risk. Sequence of returns risk is part of this. You have to have a withdrawal strategy in order to know how to take your money out throughout retirement. If you don't have a withdrawal strategy and an income plan, you could spend through your money too fast and run out of money. So let's start out with a story. Go back to 2008. You were all there, when the market crashed, and I was kind of getting my start. It was within the first 5 years of my career, and that really impacted me as I was meeting with clients with my mentor that were coming up on retirement, and they didn't mitigate some of these risks that I'm going to talk about, and they had all their money invested and they couldn't retire because it wasn't the best time for them to now take money out with the market down. So there are two types of retirees in 2008. There were the ones who had a plan to mitigate some of the risks and some that don't. That's what really gets me excited and passionate about what I do, is helping people have a plan so that they can retire confidently. The bottom line is we don't have a crystal ball, but there are risks out there that can derail a plan if you don't plan for them properly. So let's talk about those 6 risks. Number 1, longevity risk, the risk of outliving your money or spending through your money too fast. Number 2, market risk, sequence of returns risk. Again, going back to taking your money out over retirement and where's the best place to get it from based on the market volatility. Number 3, inflation, the erosion of purchasing power. Now we're all too familiar with that right now. Just go to the grocery store. Number 4, taxes, what to do if taxes go up in the future. Number 5, long-term health care and health insurance. And this is actually one of my favorites because I'm certified in this area. As we get older, we all know someone who needs help with the activities of the daily living, and it becomes more relevant to us. Number 6, personal circumstance risk, liquidity risk. An unforeseen event happens. So these are the 6 risks. And when they come up, people tend to be reactive and fearful. But if you plan for them and you're aware of them, then you're ready. Knowing these 6 risks, here's the first thing you've got to do to retire with peace of mind. You have to have buckets of guaranteed income to offset longevity risks. Now, examples of these are pensions, Social Security, and then if you have a gap, it's important to fill that gap with other guaranteed sources like annuities. Some people still have pensions, although those are going away, which means it's even more important that you plan properly with other guaranteed sources of income to meet your expenses in retirement. Studies have shown that people with guaranteed income literally tend to live longer. And why would that be? Because you can sleep better knowing that your income is guaranteed. In my experience, the risk I see most often are the top 2 risks, longevity risk and market risk. Many people come in with 5 to 10 years to go until retirement, and the majority of their money is pretty aggressive. What do I mean by that? Well, the majority of their money is invested in equities, and they, in many cases, don't have any principal protection. What is principal protection? Well, basically the name, that there is no risk of loss to your principal. In some cases, when folks come in, they think that their money is more conservative than it really is, and that's problematic because if we see another major market correction, then their money will be down. Moving on to the 3rd risk, another problem I see all too often is inflation risk. That many people think that when they get into retirement that they'll just shift their overall risk down over time. But the problem with that is suddenly you're not making enough to keep up with inflation. So that's where it's important, again, to have these different buckets. You shouldn't have all of your money in one bucket. Most people without a plan think that they should be shifting some of their equities to bonds over time, but the problem with that is then they often are not making enough interest to keep up with inflation. Most people that come in without a plan think that they need to become more conservative over time by shifting equities to bonds, and the problem with that is then they're not earning enough to keep up with inflation. Our strategy is about helping our clients to have different buckets. Yep, there it is again, those buckets. You're going to hear me talk a lot about those buckets, but We don't want you to have to give up growth. So one thing we do that everyone seems to love is that we have an analysis software when you come in to meet with us that compares where you currently are with what we might recommend. Of course, after we've gotten to know you a little bit, but basically it compares level of risk, the fees, diversification, and of course, return potentials based on past history. So you're welcome to plan on your own, and some people do that, but many of you can see that there are so many unknowns out there that you're better off having a guide like us. Number 4, taxes. One of my favorite questions to ask people is, where do you think taxes are going in the future? And the way that you answer kind of determines how we're going to help you. But bottom line, we think it's important that everyone have strategies in there to help them mitigate some of the tax risk, which means having some buckets that are growing potentially tax-free, other buckets that you can withdraw at different times. Because you don't really know what tax bracket you'll be in and tax brackets can change, we think it's important that you have some tax control in your future. Number 5, long-term care and health care. This actually is a very important one as well because, if we kind of mitigate some of the others, people tend to forget that it's important to protect your plan, which long-term care, it has to do with being unable to perform 2 of the 6 activities of daily living as you age. And most people think of this as old age insurance. However, it could happen at any age. And we also know that healthcare costs, including long-term care, are going up. From my perspective, it's all about leveraging some money up to take some of that risk off the table. And it's not one size fits all. So we definitely love having a conversation and making sure that our clients are aware of this risk, and whether you decide to do something about it or not is up to you, but we do think it's important to address. Number 6, personal circumstance risk and liquidity risk. Well, that really has to do with ensuring that you have access to your money in the event of an emergency or even possibly the death of a spouse. One of the ways that we will often help folks to offset this risk is by helping them to implement some life insurance, again, in the event of a death of a spouse that can then come into play if they need that additional money. And also then making sure that you have money set aside that you can access quickly, because people don't know, but if you have money in certain types of accounts, it can take weeks to a month upon someone's death to receive those proceeds. One thing that blows everybody's mind is something that's referred to as the widow tax, because when a spouse passes away, you've been married filing jointly and the brackets tend to be higher. And now your spouse is put into a higher tax bracket on their own. So how do you account for that? You're going through this difficult time, and now you have to think about that other risk again, taxes. The solution there is consider life insurance, but also ensure that you've got other proper buckets set up for income that can then, support that additional need for either taxes or additional income with the loss of the spouse. In conclusion, risks are manageable when they are identified in advance and you have strategies in place to mitigate them. It is imperative that you have the right guide throughout retirement, someone who understands these risks and can help you to put together a comprehensive plan to address them. Even more important is having a guide that is there through those volatile times who can help give you advice and hold your hand. Well, here's the bottom line. You cannot eliminate risk. I wish we could. I wish I had a magic wand, but I don't. But you can eliminate surprises. At UFA, we are retirement specialists, and we are committed to helping our clients navigate the uncertainties with ease. So if you like this video, subscribe, because I will post another one next week. And remember, peace of mind is something you build on purpose. Bye, everyone.
We want to help be your guide along the way about how to, access your money and the best places to get it with the ups and downs. And we want to help you to take advantage of those different market cycles. So if that's what you're looking for, please reach out to us.